Yo, what's up, guys? Welcome to the Elite Self Show. This is episode 18, and this is our third show where we have a guest. We have a special guest today, Mr. JD from Elite Self. Welcome, brother. Thanks for hopping on.
Hey, thank you so much for having me, man. This is exciting. First time ever on a podcast, to be honest.
Oh, no way. Cool, man. Well, I'm
Yeah.
honored, and I'm excited to do this, brother. And part of my intention here is to kind of expose you to my audience and the Elite Self audience, just so everyone gets to know you a little bit more and provide some value to the audience as well, because you're going to drop some bombs and people are going to love it. And you have a lot to share and a lot to give. And I'm excited to get some nuggets out of you today, man. So,
Thanks, man. I
first,
appreciate that.
yeah, of course, man. So, first and foremost, before we get into that, if you could just give everybody kind of like a brief backstory of kind of like who you are, a bit about you, maybe like some fun facts or something like this, kind of how you came to be, and probably also a bit about kind of like your health and fitness journey and your self-growth journey and that, and we'll kind of go from there.
Cool. Awesome. As soon as you said a little bit of fun facts about yourself, the first thing that came to my mind was drumming. I used to drum for many years, drummer, right? And I want to go back into it. So maybe pretty soon. But yeah, my name is JD, Coach JD. It's short form for Jean d'Arc. Very, yeah, interesting backstory about that. We can go about it later, some other time. Essentially, I'm from Aruba. I migrated to Canada in 2015, got married here, and been here for 8 years now, and loving every minute because this is land of opportunity, man. Honestly, if I were to look back at when I was in Aruba, I would definitely want to go into a big country. My first thought was Europe because I am a European citizen being from Aruba. And yeah, I was just like very focused on like goals and visions when I first started my fitness journey when I was 18. Actually, I was sick and tired of not being able to do one single push-up when I was 18, and I was so embarrassed about it. So that like it was a huge decision that made me just switch and say, you know what, enough is enough. I don't want to be like this anymore. I want to improve. I want to do something for myself, and which I did. And then got myself a coach, a personal trainer coach for myself, like, and he gave me the ropes. He taught me everything that, like, as much as he knew, and very grateful for him. His name is Sandy Serrano. If ever you hear this, know that I'm appreciative of you, because he actually changed my life, man. He taught me how to visualize and work towards your goals and actually achieve what you want at that moment, at that point in time. By the way, I know 5 languages, another fun fact. That's why sometimes I would stumble around in my words. A lot of things going up in there. And essentially, he taught me, at that time, I wanted to gain muscle. I was very skinny. And now finally I got some muscle, right? And the way it went about that was because I was constantly grinding, constantly hitting, the gym, just doing the action without overthinking the process, basically. And I achieved it. So from there, my life changed completely. I met my wife in Aruba. She was on vacation, and I came to Canada, and here we are. Became online fitness coach because that's my purpose, man.
Nice, dude. That's awesome. A couple things I'd like to ask you about is, first and foremost, when you're in Aruba, you mentioned, well, kind of like coming here, you mentioned you want to be in a big country, land of opportunity. What was it like for you in Aruba? Like, were you growing up kind of like aspiring to be in a place where there was more opportunity? And then when you came to Canada, were you like, was it kind of like what you thought opportunity wise? And how do you perceive the fact that we're in a land of opportunity now? Like, how does that fit within your reality?
Yeah, man, that's a very good question, actually. So I'll go back with the first thing you asked was when I was back in Aruba, when I was working on my goals, I was just focused on vision and, what the next step would be. And my first thought was not to move into a new country. My first thought was just hitting my goals and, achieving them. And once I saw some roadblocks, that's when I was starting to, think about how to progress from those roadblocks. And part of the roadblocks being in Aruba was that, unfortunately surrounded by many people that do not share the same visions as you and do not share the same goals as you, because there's a health crisis over there too. And, you know, from there, just transitioning into, you know, a opportunity, or, you know, a some sort of solution to progress. And my first thought was, you know what, I want to go in business school. When I was doing my fitness, I was nearly competing, and I thought to myself, I want to make sure that I arm myself with knowledge and skills. So I wanted to go back to school. At that time, I stopped school, and I wanted to go to business school because I knew that I'm not going to be working a 9 to 5 for the rest of my life, and I'm not going to be working at a job that I don't like, right? I was a server there, and I loved every minute of it, but it came to a point that I felt like I mastered being a server, so I needed to jump to another goal. I needed to jump to a new endeavor, right? So that's where it came. And then I was thinking of going to study abroad as well in Europe, in the Netherlands, because Aruba is connected to the Netherlands. And that was my goal initially. I had no intention of coming to Canada whatsoever until I met my wife. She was Canadian. And at that point, even meeting her, it wasn't about her being Canadian saying, like, oh, I want to go to a new land of opportunity. It was just, I fell in love with her, right? Yeah. We had a connection, and then we just decided to take a leap of faith and got married like very fast. And 8 years later, here we are. And coming to Canada, coming back to your question, is at first, I didn't really see I didn't really expect much, because I'm the type of person, anything I go into, I make sure I don't over expect. I under expect a little bit so that I won't get disappointed. Sure. Take it as you will. I feel like that has been beneficial to me in some ways. And, you know, whenever I am in a certain situation, I accept it, I adapt, and then from there, I look towards generating a plan, an action plan, based on my visions, based on my goals, and see what I can mold around me to, you know, change around me to make it a little bit more accessible for me to hit those goals.
Got it, man. And that brings a great point too, because a lot of people are kind of like in some form of similar situation where their environment is not optimal for their vision. It might be their like household environment, or it might be the city that they're in, or their friend circle, or some type of aspect of their physical environment. And like you said, there's only so much you can do in that environment before you have like a massive need to kind of change and evolve, right? And so there's obviously a lot of nuance there. Some people perhaps can't, you know, immediately just go somewhere else, or maybe they can, but what would be like some general pieces of advice you would give to somebody who knows they need to change their environment, and perhaps like some initiatives they can take in the meantime, whether that is like finding new like-minded people, or actually moving countries, or just like consuming content from more inspiring people? What are some tips you would say there?
Well, yeah, I mean, the first step is to consume content that from people that you look up to and aspire to be like, right? Because the saying, surround yourself with things and people that you want, you know, to be like, or you want something out of it. Surrounding yourself, the simple act of surrounding yourself within that environment is the spark, is the, you know, not the start. It's not the start yet, but it's the spark that will reveal things which are possible for you, right? And so I feel like you need every single individual is completely different, and you need to understand that when you first want to start changing your life, there has to be a strong reason behind it. It cannot be a very superficial reason. Oh, I want to get fit just because I want to get some abs. That's superficial, right? You have to have real meaning. If I look back to when I first started my fitness journey, it's because of that shame. It's because of that weakness that I found in myself to portray and to come out every single time I had a social interaction, whether like with friends, you know, we would challenge each other to a push-up competition, and I would just like step back because I couldn't do a single push-up, right? So it's that the emotion tied behind that is the real reason why you would initiate and want to shift your life basically, and go towards something that you feel like you need, because that's gonna change how you feel and at that time, right? So you could be feeling very, depressed about it, stressed out, overwhelmed, anything that is negative, is your body is constantly telling you it's time to change. If you're feeling those things, your body, your whole being is telling you you need a change, right? And as soon as you start consuming content that you from people that you want to aspire to be like, that's the spark, like I said. And then the start is when you actually start doing something about it. And I like Eddie Pinero, Your World Within podcast so much that he, like, I always listen to him, and he always inspires me in things to say. So I will be quoting him a little bit, and he says the fact that when you start something, you're already halfway there. The simple action of starting, you're already halfway there. So it's not about starting and you're at like 1% or 0.5% along the journey. No, you're halfway there, because the action is the most important part of anything that you do, anything that you want to achieve, any goal that you want to achieve, any dream that you have for yourself, right?
Yeah, of course, man. Dude, that's huge. And you mentioned like when you were 18, I believe, you kind of had that flip switch moment where you got in touch with that emotional why for you. And you're right, man. I mean, a lot of people are just kind of stuck on the surface level saying like, I want abs, or I want this, or I want to lose weight or whatever. And there's nothing, true or false about that, but it just doesn't pack much psychological fuel when you stay on the surface. So asking yourself, why do I want that? Why does that matter to me? Why is this important? What happens if I don't do it? That can really stimulate some emotion that can get you into action, as you were saying, right?
No, I'm gonna jump in for a second with that, and respectfully, and it's superficial, yeah, but it's not that it's irrelevant, right? Superficial doesn't mean irrelevant in that aspect, in that particular sense, because when you say you want to just get abs, okay, someone can actually start doing the actions to get abs. They don't need a strong emotional why. However, your wits can only go so far during the process. So for example, if you start towards your goal of getting abs, and for example, if you never had abs to begin with, you don't know how the process looks like, right? So if you start your journey towards getting like to get abs, what ends up happening is that the more time goes by within the process, the more likely you are to find a barrier that will stop you dead in your track, and then you won't achieve it anymore. Depending on the person, some people actually have those wits to actually get to that goal without any real reason why, but some people also don't have that capacity, right? So that's where it's important for, I think, everybody to know their real reason why.
Yeah, that's huge, man. And that's obviously why we have our clients define that when they first come into the program. Just because, we can give somebody the perfect plan, but we can't give them their own desire and their own.
Yeah, exactly. There you go.
Cool, man. And I know that you mentioned getting a mentor was kind of one of your first plays once you really got in touch with that drive to achieve that goal. How do you view the role of mentorship in your own life and in general in regards of the importance it plays in somebody's development?
Yeah, man, that's amazing question, actually. So I went to college here in Canada in 2017, because again, I came to a new country. I'm like, okay, it's time to start moving. So coming back to my first idea when I was in Aruba to go to a business school, I found business entrepreneurship in Seneca College. So 2017 through 2020, graduated in 2020. And the biggest thing that I got out of that was that, again, action. You need to be able to take action and to dive into that world. So mentorship, right? There was a mentorship program within my schooling, so within my program, and I didn't take advantage of it. And I kind of did a little bit. So I went into it, but I didn't really notice what kind of value it has. And the real value is that once you surround yourself with people that are that have massive knowledge, massive skills, and massive visions within their life, it's very contagious. It comes like the more you spend time with people like that, the more you want it for yourself. Like it's very, very contagious because you start seeing what is possible. And being in a mentorship program is basically your self-development. So whether or not you think you didn't get value within a mentorship program, there is always something to be learned. You had a bad experience with a mentorship program, you're going to be learning something from that bad experience, right? And even if you get a great experience, then win-win, right? So, but it's always a good idea to invest in yourself in mentorship program. And I got that idea off of Cole Lewis da Silva, which is my mentor now. And he basically said that in one of his podcasts that, you know, it's never a bad idea to invest in yourself. Never.
Yeah, I totally agree with that, man. And you mentioned that as you kind of evolved, so as your purpose evolved into like helping people and becoming that mentor for people as it pertains to their health and fitness and their own self-growth. So how did that evolve for you in regards of really clearly defining like, you know, what you're meant to do and what your purpose is, and how did that come to be throughout your journey?
Okay, so to help me understand, can you repeat that a little bit briefly?
Yeah, so like essentially, how did your purpose evolve? It's the simple way to ask that question.
With online coaching, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, it came back. So as soon as I like before going to Seneca College for that business degree, I did have, you know, that same mentality of before when I was in Aruba, that I want to be able to create a business for myself. And I looked towards the things that I really enjoy and the things that were very impactful for my life, and fitness was the one, right? So that was my purpose. As soon as I dialed down and, you know, thought about what I enjoy and what I want to give back to people, fitness came up. So as soon as I graduated, I dove right into, you know, trying to make something out of fitness in order to help people achieve exactly what I achieved, right? So that realization that it's about opening up your mind, and the first, you know, the first action step to opening up your mind is moving your body. Because as soon as you start moving your body, you start seeing what is possible. You start feeling better. You start feeling more energized. You can tolerate a lot more stress throughout the day. There's so many endless benefits to physical activity that it's mind-blowing. Like more and more research are coming out these days, especially in this information age, you know, podcasts, things like that. Information is coming from everywhere. And that's why it's very important to make sure that you know what you're surrounding yourself with, because you can be surrounding yourself with news, which is constant negativity, and that affects you subconsciously, right? So the new research that's coming out is that they're simply saying that resistance training, so contracting your muscles, have so much benefits. One of the most important one that really like stays in my head forever is it kills depression. Instantly kills depression. Like they've done a study and they came out with the conclusion that the simple act of 3 times a week contracting your muscles in an hour-long session, it could be even minimum 30 minutes session, it helps your brain. So the chemical that is associated to depression is being killed while you're contracting your muscles. It's mind-blowing.
Wow, that is extremely profound, and obviously has massive implications on how it can impact the world.
Think about it. This is another thing. You know, I saw another a TED talk of a monk, and he says we need to. I don't know the guy's name. I would have quoted him, but he basically says we need to make ourselves stronger again, right? And what he means by that, like as he's talking, you realize what he's talking about. And I realized that you know thousands of years ago, humans were not depressed. You know why? Because they were constantly on the move. They were constantly fighting to survive physically, right? That physical movement is what drove their survival. and made it successful for them to survive and build societies is that movement. People were constantly at war. Nations were constantly at war. The movement, right? You really think they had time to sit back and say, I'm depressed today, I'm not going to do anything? No, it's the movement of the body allowed the world to become what it is today.
Yeah, man. And today it's probably the most stagnant culture that's ever existed, and with the least amount of necessity to move. And so it's not a surprise that mental health is probably close to, if not at its all-time lows as well.
Yeah, it's skyrocketing. It's crazy.
Yeah, dude. And kind of on the other side of that coin, in regards to the transformation that health and fitness helps you get, and also clients get, and anybody get, what is your favorite part of the transformation? Let's say you're helping a client out, whether it's clients in the past or current clients. Like what is kind of like one or more, if more comes to mind, of the favorite parts, whether it's the process or some result or benefit that you or the clients get from the transformation?
I think the self-acceptance is what comes to mind right now, in terms of how the clients would start viewing themselves, right? Based on the accomplishments of the small little tasks that I give them, and the sense of accomplishment when I actually mention that to them as well. So instilling the belief system, telling them, look, man, you did amazing this week, or girl, you did amazing this week, and I'm super proud of you. This is exactly how it is. This is exactly what you need to be doing in order to step it up and achieve your goals. And I believe that you will achieve it, right? And then they start molding into that kind of a person that they want to be, and they're leaving behind their old self slowly in that process.
Right. Yeah, man. A large part of this is just like evolving on the inside, right? Leveling up yourself on the inside, and the external results are always a delayed kind of factor in that part.
Yeah, exactly. But then the key is always celebrating the small wins, always celebrating the little things that you notice that you're changing. Like it could be as small as changing your sleep schedule from sleeping at 12 a.m. instead of like sleeping at 11 p.m. instead of 12 a.m. continuously. Those little subtle shifts, they make a huge change.
You make a huge change. Yeah, you're right. If you want to change your life, change something you do daily, right?
Yeah.
So you make it a huge impact.
Sorry about that. My other mentor was his saying was also like, yeah, Brian Mark, this is what he says: the way you do everything is the way you do one thing. Or I might have butchered that.
Don't way around.
One thing is the way you do one thing is the way you do everything else.
Yeah.
So you know what I mean? It's how you choose to start tackling the things that you should be changing.
Yep, absolutely, man. Cool. And after helping people for a bit and helping yourself as well, there's obviously, like you said, like so many different sources of information now, and so many different people saying so many different things. As it pertains to, let's start with perhaps nutrition. What are like what is like the main or top myths or top like false kind of stuff that's spread out there that you see, or maybe just common like limiting beliefs people have, or limiting kind of thought patterns around nutrition or how to progress in that department?
Yeah, that's a very good question too. Let me see. I think in regards to nutrition, first of all, there's no one size fits all, right? One person can't try to follow along with someone else with what they're doing with their nutrition and expect the same results, because every single human body is different, and you need to start working from where you're currently at in the moment, and then analyze the data throughout a couple of days, or within a week or so, and then try to slowly shifts little by little something in regards to your nutrition, and then see how your body reacts to that. And then there's so many strategies you can go about it as well. And I find the other thing about nutrition is also that we're surrounded with so many convenience and fast-paced environment of like, also with the fast food that's around us, constantly available, and also skip the dishes, takeout. It's so easy for us to get food quick and not even think about, oh, is this good for me, or should I be eating this? Or it's just like your indulgence is overloaded, and you're like, I can have anything I want. I just have to just order it, or just go to that fast food chain.
Yeah, dude. Yeah, it's and you can just order stuff. It's there within 20 minutes. It's just way too easy these days.
Crazy.
Cool. Yeah, that's totally a big one, man. And let's maybe perhaps touch on fitness and then perhaps mindset as well. What is kind of like on the fitness side of things, what is like a common or the most common, would you say, like limiting belief or misconception out there if a person's like starting their fitness journey and like there's so much information saying do this or do that, or like you should avoid this or whatever the case is, or like a certain way things should be done? Like what is like a common myth you see out there?
Common myth? It would be a little bit difficult to come like think about a common myth. So what I would say,
What is maybe like your biggest kind of tip you give to clients, or perhaps like one of the most common questions you get from clients when they first come in or something like this?
Yeah, I mean, the first thing that I see most clients struggle with is with their diet, right? But then when it comes to fitness, they just don't know the structure that it has to have. So the structure meaning the type of workout and the technique that they have in the gym. So I think those are the two main things. Is like clients, they come in and they say, oh, I don't know if my form is right. I'm constantly second guessing myself. Or the fact that when they're trying something new, it's sorry, I just lost my trail of thought. What was I saying in the first bit about the fitness?
Yeah, I mean,
Anyway,
the structure of it and just kind of knowing like the proper.
Oh yeah, the structure. Yeah, so the structure being, it's some people are so focused on the structure, they're like they go into the gym, they're so lost, they don't know what to do, right? So I think those are the two main things. Is that first of all, they don't know what to do when they come into the gym or when they're ready to work out. They're lost. They don't have any plan. They don't have a plan. And then secondly, their technique, right? So they're always second guessing themselves.
Got you, man. And obviously when clients come into our program, for example, like we show them how to do stuff, we give them the structure, we take into account their schedule and their preferences and their goals and the equipment or lack of equipment they have available, and we create that structure for them, completely customized. What would you say to somebody who's perhaps like not in the place where they want to join a mentorship program or wants to just get started on their own today, but is still kind of lost about structure or like exactly what to do? What kind of tips would you tell that person?
I would say go into a group training environment and try to mix it up as well. Do different things. Either group training environment, jump into a specific sport that you like, or simply take a bike and go for a cycle, or just go for a run, or go for a walk, right? So just starting the motion of the body is what, and then after you start the motion, right, you start looking towards, first off, what is your goal, for your fitness? And then what do you like? What do you really enjoy? And then try to pair those two together.
Got it. That's huge, man. Absolutely. And a couple more for you here, man. Regarding mindset, what part has mindset played in your journey, or what importance do you see mindset or mindset development having in a person's fitness journey? So like outside of just like a person has the workout plan and the nutrition plan, like what importance does their mindset play and leveling up their mindset in certain areas?
Well, I would say the first thing is to realize the importance of how you're thinking throughout the day and what you're thinking throughout the day. So, those affirmations are very, very important. Telling yourself, you know what, I can do this. Today is going to be exciting. I get to focus on my fitness goals. I get to go to the gym. I get to work out. And, a lot of times is the limiting beliefs and the self-sabotage is what, can cause stagnation in clients' growth and, progress towards fitness. They start saying to themselves, you know what, my whole family has been unhealthy, so it's just normal for me to be unhealthy. or things like, oh, I've never seen my abs before, so I don't think I'll ever see them, or things like it's genetics, which is a huge myth and misconception, right? It's just you need to make sure that you're, first of all, taking step by step the mindset of, changing your belief system into, start identifying yourself as someone who does fitness
Yeah.
and someone who can achieve it as well. And then just, take action steps. This is what it is. And one of the other parts of mindset is that you need to realize that every single day, every new day is a complete reset of your mindset. It really is. I've experienced this, right? And when I wake up in the morning, the first thing I do when I wake up in the morning, I have a mental check. I'm like, how's my mindset right now? And then I feel the need to work on it right away. And I feel like it has helped me to work on my mindset first thing in the morning, right? So being grateful, being giving yourself words of affirmation, spelling it out. I go in front of the mirror, I smile to myself, the simple act of smiling. Again, that's an action. It's again, like, action is what makes your emotions happen. It's not the other way around. A lot of people have it, mixed up. They think my emotions dictate what I do. My emotions dictate my actions throughout the day. It's actually reverse. And you realize this as soon as you try it out. So I encourage our listeners, if you don't believe me, try it out for yourself. When you engage in a specific action, like I said, like just smile. If you're feeling down, go to the mirror, try this out. If you're really feeling down one day and depressed, go to the mirror right away, force a smile on your face, and hold that for at least 15 seconds. Look yourself straight in the eyes. See what happens.
That's huge, man. That's huge. Dude, there's so much science now around how our physiology is not only correlated, but as you said, determines our emotions. And they did studies where if you stand even like in the Superman position for like 2 minutes, it increases testosterone by 20%. And that's just standing like this. So let alone like a bike or a workout or a walk or what push-ups or whatever the case is, it will increase, or like going and doing some work on your career or in your business. It's like action precedes motivation. Action precedes.
Yeah, it's funny. It's funny that you said Superman pose. That was my first presentation skills course in my school. The teacher called it power pose. She says, as soon as you before you go on stage or in front of the classroom to present, your project or whatever it is you're talking about, go to the washroom, do a power pose, hold that for like 20 seconds, look at yourself in the mirror, and then start giving yourself those words of affirmation. And then you're way more likely to not get, the nerves, like becoming nervous and stuff like that.
Yeah, that's correct, man. I heard Superman is just one of the many power poses, but you're right. Power poses is like the term for, there's a bunch of different ones. Same thing. I think similar effect. If you kick your feet up on your desk and put your arms like around your head, it shows like a similar effect or something like this.
Yeah.
And it's super profound. And the thing is though, it's like you're recommending people to try it. You guys should try it. And the thing is though, is like when you're in those low emotional states or low vibration states, the last thing you're going to want to do is go move your body and go smile at yourself in the mirror, because the activity, the behavior that's associated with low level of emotion is low level behavior. Like if I asked you guys to describe to me what a depressed person looks like, you describe to me, maybe they're hunched over, they're breathing shallow, they're looking down. It's not a coincidence that level of behavior is associated with that level of emotion. So when you're feeling down, and to think of the idea of going for a run or smiling, it just seems like completely like misaligned from what you currently feel like. But that is the jump.
It was even disgusting at times.
Yeah, you have to deploy everything you have in those moments to get yourself to do something different if you want to change your emotional state. And we've mentioned a few strategies on how to do that. So it's super, super important and super exciting to the studies that you mentioned about how fitness just destroys a lot of those depressive emotions. It's super profound. And that's an awesome tidbit to walk away with. Last thing here, man. You're Coach JD, you're passionate about health and fitness, helping people out. You have an audience here of, probably a lot of people that are looking for guidance that want to become the best versions of themselves, what is like one thing that you'd leave them with from this episode? One piece of advice or one motivational thing, or one thing that you would like to say that we haven't necessarily covered yet, that you'd like to leave them with?
Yeah, I think give yourself grace. You know, be graceful to yourself. Just give yourself a little bit of space. And again, if you're going through any kind of emotional stress right now, you have every single right to feel that way. So allow yourself to feel it, accept it for the moment. And then once you start feeling it out, and then once you pass the stage that you want to feel it out, that's when it's time to actually think about what you need to do next in order to get out of that. Right? Because you can't think straight if you're constantly holding those emotions back and not allowing yourself to express it. You need to allow yourself to express it. And as soon as you do, then you can start having an action plan.
Got it, man. Yeah, that's huge. Cool. All right, guys, that's the episode for today. JD, thanks for hopping on, brother. It was a blast. And I'll link JD's Instagram in the description. You guys can check him out. And he does have a few open client spots on his roster. So if you are interested in working with him, feel free to click the link in the bio as well. Book a call, and we'll see if it's a good fit. So besides that, thanks again, JD. Pleasure having you on, bro.
Hey, thanks for having me, man. Appreciate you. Everyone else, have a great rest of your day.
Yep. Have a good day, guys. See you in the next episode. Peace.
Peace.